I'm going to half a chocolate chip just to create controversy. Coming up on this episode of Stay on Track. I mean, Frank didn't exactly splash out on anything to do with marketing. No. He wasn't that kind of... Frank Williams, he was famous for spending every penny on the car.
And it was like a machine gun.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when it started to read the spit, it would go... ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
He took the opportunity of claiming I'd breached the contract, and I hadn't even started driving for him yet. So it was I was in breach of contract before I even had the launch.
So we did all the testing in Herbert, I think it was. And I do remember we took all the fuel out because we weren't very quick. We had a lot of problems. With
we weren't going any quicker with no fuel in it.
In the oil. Yes, low fuel. You were something else.
I just sort of pointing that out.
Yes, I know. Well, there was
maybe that's where you were going wrong.
That's why I kept stopping.
So we're going to be talking BS. Can I say BS?
You've said it.
You know that expression?
Yes,
I do. When the flag drops, the BS stops.
Yeah.
Well, the flags haven't dropped yet, haven't they?
No, I know.
But
it's already
started. We've got this. We're into launch season.
We are
testing season. The Phoney War, you could call it.
It was. Yes.
Before
it still is.
It all happens, and everyone's talking everything up and guessing what's going to happen.
Yeah, trying to work out who's done what and who's the quick one and who's not, and they all sort of come out and say all the things that are positive, but it doesn't.
They say all the right things.
The right things, but it doesn't always end up positive. Yes.
But so we've done that, haven't we? We've been there in that experience as racing drivers. When you really want to get out there and start racing, you've got to do the testing, you've got to do these launches.
Yeah, and it's seeing it from our perspective, because I think you never really see the build up to a launch, you just see the launch, but it's seeing everything from our perspective of how that build up sort of happened. So we can discuss a couple of launches. There were some good ones and there were some odd ones.
And the emphasis is on the sponsors. They want their pound of flesh. They want loads of media coverage. Yes. And they get you to do, the marketing department goes into overdrive they come up with the craziest ideas they can come up with to try and grab people's attention.
Well, they do, but there were certain launches I remember. I don't think it grabbed anyone's attention. I think it turned away. And I did a digital launch. Did you ever do a digital launch?
I think I stopped racing before they had digital anything. I think
you hadn't stopped. You stopped.
In what way? How could they do a digital?
Digital. It was a room half the size of this. It basically had a screen with a little camera. Yeah. There was myself and Nicola Larini, I think it was my team at the time when I was at Sauber. And we had one person who would come in onto the screen, and then we'd sort of do an interview about the launch of the Sauber car.
So it must have been on a tight budget.
But it was the worst thing I've ever experienced. It was the most awkward thing of trying to talk about a car when there is nothing in the background. There are no people on a stage. There's no unveiling of a car. There was nothing.
So you'd have preferred that? The big showbiz reveal?
Well, yeah. Well, I think there was a little bit more interaction with people. There was no interaction with anybody. It was just a white wall. And that's all I was really looking at with the screen. It was just the oddest.
What team was that? Sauber?
That was Sauber.
God, they're full of fun, aren't they? Sauber. They don't exist anymore.
They did some interesting ones. They don't exist anymore. You're absolutely right.
No, so but I was the other extreme, I think, because racing for EJ. I mean, Frank didn't exactly splash out on anything to do with marketing. No. He wasn't that kind of. Frank Williams, he was famous for spending every penny on the car, and didn't want to waste time on doing. We do things like filming days, so you're allowed to go and get all the material that you needed, which wasn't going to be covered by the coverage of Formula One would allow you to film the cars and then use that during the year. So anytime you see a car that's kind of looks like it's following a Seat or something, just going from left to right down the straight, and there's two cars looking like they're racing, but then they're going about 40 miles an hour. That was from the filming day.
Yes.
And so they got all their stuff in the bag. But as a driver, you're itching to properly drive the car, but you can't. You've got to do all this, posing for photographs. Stuff. So we'll come
to that, because you're right. We were itching to get in the car. I'm not quite sure it's the same. I think we'll come to that a little bit later on. But the launches themselves, yes. Tell us about. I think you did a real flash one. With Jordan.
So Eddie, so it started to escalate. I think people like Eddie started realising this is a chance to play drums on stage or something. And so it started off at the London Palladium. We had a launch at the London Palladium.
Yeah.
And that was going a bit far. But that was more of a kind of, I don't remember dancing girls or anything like that, but there must have been something on stage because we'd gone to theatre and there was kind of a little bit of pizzazz. But anyway, I turned up late. For it because I've been doing some PR work for something.
Yes,
and
for the team.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Yeah.
Just checking.
So, I was doing my job as a racing driver and letting everyone know about the start of the season and blah, blah. Anyway, got a little bit late for his launch event. Not that it mattered. Everyone was there anyway. But he took the opportunity of claiming I'd breached the contract. And I hadn't even started driving for him yet. So it was I was in breach of contract before I even had the launch. But that was what it's like driving with Eddie.
Yes.
So a little bit embarrassing. But and set the tone really for what it was going to be like for the rest of the 2 years I drove for him.
Well, it wasn't that
bad. But then he went one step beyond. The next year we had Albert Hall.
Oh,
and a Cirque du Soleil kind of collaboration.
Oh, right, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I had something similar, only with Sauber. I think it was in Baden, in Switzerland. Baden, in Switzerland.
Or Baden.
Or Baden, whatever one it is. And it was basically, there was a production of a space show, but it was in a space theatre, I think it was called. And we were then part of the production. They brought the car on and both myself and both drivers went onto the stage. And it was basically these people with
green faces.
Painted. No, silver. Silver. No.
Did they have pointy hats?
Space. No. It wasn't an alien. It wasn't an alien show. It was a space show. It's all silver suits and just flying around.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. It was bizarre. I never flew around.
Were they actually flying?
They were actually flying. Yes,
how did they do that?
Fly. I have no idea.
Maybe you were really on the moon.
Humans can do amazing things when they try. So yeah, that was.
And the message was?
That was. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the space thing sort of linked to a Formula One car and on track. I don't really. I get it. I think it was one of Peter Sauber's sort of special moments.
Yeah.
He enjoyed it. Everyone else was a little bit confused about it, but yeah. So I had dancing people flying around. Yeah, odd one.
So, I mean, as a driver, you feel sometimes slightly self-conscious doing these sort of things because you're kind of you don't want to, be a kind of downer on it, but at the same time, you don't want to make yourself an idiot. No. You're there to race, but you know what the marketing departments want? They want you to dance and sing as well.
Yeah, they do. But I did Hyde Park when I was at Lotus. I remember we did one in the middle of Hyde Park, which is again quite a strange one. I remember seeing a picture. There was just me and a couple of girls
ducks
behind it. Ducks, but a couple of girls around the car with the ducks in the background.
Oh, don't talk about.
Then that was sort of the end of that launch. So that was an interesting one. Did Claridge's as well.
Well, that's rather nice.
93.
What did you do there?
94.
Just had a couple of cocktails or something.
Before we did that, yes. Before in the area, as you
That's
walked
very
into
posh.
Claridge's. That was very, very posh. Yeah, that was quite a nice one, I must admit.
I missed out on that one.
Yes, you did.
But so that was all I can talk about with my experience of car launches because I don't think I had one when I started with Williams. And Brabham didn't have any money, so that was that
was an absolute no.
So I only really did Jordan, but they got elaborate to the point where
they? Yes,
it became a competition, didn't it? So who was going to have the biggest, most elaborate
launch? They did go out of control, didn't they? Remember the McLaren one?
What happened there? Can you remember?
Spice Girls.
Oh, the
Spice Girl one.
So that wasn't Red Bull then?
That was McLaren. So that was Mika. So that Mika and DC. So that must have been 90.
Was that Albert Hall
98,
as well?
99? I don't know where it was. No, I think it was in a hotel in London somewhere. I don't know where it was. The Hilton or something. I'm not sure what it was. So, yeah, but that was where...
If anybody can remember any interesting, their favourite launches from bizarre launches of Formula One cars from the past, we need reminding.
Need to look them up as well. We need to look them up as well.
But we've still got to see a few more. I mean, the liveries that are coming out at the moment, there's people, the fans are responding. You know, the Ferrari one got a little bit of kickback, didn't it? Because it's too much blue with the Hewlett Packard on it.
Yeah.
But I'd say if you're Hewlett Packard, you'd be delighted because everyone's talking about Hewlett Packard.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, it's worked. That's the whole point of it. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. You know, how how the whole build-up. Do you remember the build-up to a certain event? I remember doing one with Michael, actually, when we were at Benetton. And we spent almost like a competition who could stretch the most prior to it. It was, Michael was into his fitness.
He was very flexible.
Very flexible. So I thought, well, I'll do a little bit of flexing while we're doing it as well. I think it pissed him off, to be honest.
When you say flexing, what do you
mean? Stretching, giving it all the touching.
Touching your toes.
Just
how exciting.
Everything, doing everything. Yes, but that was
yoga.
Classic. What Michael was always about. He was like...
You outstretched Michael Schumacher.
No, I think he outstretched me. No, I'd never outstretched him. I just annoyed him.
You shouldn't have taken him on. You should have known better.
So
whatever you do, he's going to beat you.
It. Yeah, but the build-ups were always a bit sort of waiting just for the thing.
So you're waiting. Yeah, exactly.
It's just load of waiting around.
And you can see as well, because the race team and the test team, they're all itching to get going and getting the car on the track, and they can't because they've got to take more photographs of the car, and then the drivers have to pose with that overalls and the helmet and endless stuff that you have to do. It's not what you signed up for when you wanted to be a racing driver. But anyway, it's part of the deal.
It's part of the
sponsors
deal.
are paying for that. And
the best ones, I think, were the ones that were done launched in a garage about 2 minutes before the car actually went on track.
That was a Williams.
That was a Williams, exactly. That was a Zelly one.
You got 2 minutes. Get your cameras out.
Yeah, exactly. Click, and off we go. Yes.
But anyway, I like the Haas one. Looks quite racy. I thought it's very strong graphics on it. Simple. But this is where you get people starting to get, they remember the John Player Lotus, the best looking car. And then you get into this discussion about how good they look, how good the livery looks, and whether they like the look of the car. And that's really not on your mind as a racing driver, is it? I mean, come out. I mean, I remember Niki Lauda was asked, what's the most beautiful F1 car? And he said the one that wins is the one.
Right.
You don't care what colour it is.
And don't matter what it looks
like.
No. Exactly.
So you're on a slightly different agenda as a driver.
No, but then manufacturers have a different agenda. But the one that I thought was just out of control was when I was at Jaguar. So we did all the testing in Jerez, I think it was. And I do remember we took all the fuel out because we weren't very quick. We had a lot of problems with
you weren't going any quicker with no fuel in it.
In the oil. Yes, low fuel. You're something else.
I just sort of pointing that out.
Yes, I know. Well, there was
maybe that's where you were going wrong.
That's why I kept stopping. That's why we had a problem with the oil and the baffles in the bomb. Anyway, to get it, we ended up 1 and 2.
Okay.
At the end of that test. Wonderful. Jaguar coming in, first race in Melbourne. I think I was only able to do 1.5 laps before the thing cut out because it ran out of fuel. And we arrived, and some people will say this is a bit odd, but they sprayed the grass green all the way through Melbourne. Yes, grass is green, I know, but in Melbourne it's not all green.
It's not green
enough.
A
little bit brown sometimes. Yeah. So they sprayed everything. Right. I think the trams were green as well.
What?
And
isn't that their colour? Isn't that Victoria's in Melbourne? That's their colour, isn't it? Isn't it aren't they? I better be careful about this, but
I don't know. But it was a Jaguar green. And I remember at night. Remember the old bat light? Oh, Batman used to put his sort of a bat up into the sky.
Oh yes, it's projected onto the clouds.
Well, it was a cat.
Oh right,
and it went all the way through the night, just sort of going around it. It
Fantastic.
Was exactly.
That's spectacular.
Spectacular. Yeah. And to make it more spectacular, I never actually got to the grid for the race on the Sunday. So they did this whole.
Good thing they did the launch.
Bigging it all up. Yeah. Bigging it up. And this is like you were saying, right, make it all flash, and everybody's going, yeah, this is it. And then it falling flat on its face in a big way. So you've got to be very careful sometimes as well that you don't, a bit like Audi coming in.
You hoist yourself by your own petard.
Yes, exactly. We are going to win races. We are going to beat everybody else.
Do you know what that means?
And then,
the petard, I think this is what it means. Is the petard is the thing that protects your dagger.
Right, okay.
And when you go to pull it out, the sword doesn't come out. So you pull the whole thing when you're kind of hoisting it. That's what it means.
Okay.
It makes you look very silly.
What has this got to do with
Well, I just used the phrase hoisting by your own petard.
Right.
So I just thought it'd be
it's really
a bit of educational stuff there.
Thank you very much.
But actually, I wouldn't count on that explanation. I'd look it up on Wikipedia just to be sure.
I'm not going to bother.
But anyway, so there is a lot of falling flat on your face because you've made a big noise and a big, hoo-ha about the before, the build-up.
Yes.
And what matters is whether the bloody thing's quick or not.
Yes, that's all.
And
that
also,
matters.
so, testing, what happened is after all the testing is done,
yeah.
when I say all the testing, it's such limited testing compared to what we used to do. Because we'd be testing all before Christmas.
Yes.
And we'd be testing throughout the winter. And we'd be testing all of January.
The season ended, October? I think, wasn't it? Yeah, it ended October. And we, as you say, we were literally finishing the last race. And then 2 days later, we could have been at Silverstone or Spain or something doing the testing all the way up to Christmas.
Yeah. And then, the point I'm making is that the testing results, what they do is they cover the days and who's quickest and all the rest of it. And then sometimes you get unexpected people are very quick. And with the possible exception of Ross Brawn, the Brawn team that year, it's nearly always wrong. I mean, by miles, isn't it? I mean, you suddenly see teams you don't expect to be looking really competitive in winter testing.
Yeah, that's what I explained about the Jaguar. We were 1 and 2, but we weren't anywhere near it.
So, viewers, listeners, beware. Do not go by the lap times that you're seeing, because if you're quick, which is what we used to do with Williams, we knew he had an advantage. We'd always run with 60 kilos of fuel in the car.
Oh, did you?
To slow us down.
Are you trying to rub it in now, are you? Because we were on fumes.
Well, we figured.
It was
when you
obvious.
stopped because we hadn't got enough petrol in it. We thought they're on low fuel.
Goes back to that again. Yeah.
Or no fuel.
No. But you're right. But certain people, I remember Tom Walkinshaw. That used to be a prime thing he did at Grand Prix, but he did it in testing as well. Yes, he'd throw in Jos Verstappen to do some Larry qualified lap, and it looked good, but it wasn't.
But, the culprits for this were, as you said, Tom Walkinshaw. With arrows, they wanted to do that. And I kept saying, with Jordan as well, we've got to put a show time in. You go, don't do it, because you're just looking idiot when you come to the race and you're not quick. Yeah. But they do it because the sponsors want an uplift. They want to have something they can crow about. And Ferrari are also good at doing this, it seems to me. They feel the pressure to just get a lap time. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, I think Red Bull are very good at keeping their powder dry and not showing their hand.
Mm-hmm. Interesting thing, you were talking about sort of we finished our season October, we were testing all the way up to December. But nowadays they do 150 laps a day sometimes, some cars. It's unbelievable what they do. And we had freedom to do anything we wanted. But it was between 40, 80. 80 was like quite big. And then 100, wow, that was a massive...
That's a big day.
That was a big day, yes.
Yeah. And your neck was pretty sore at the end of that.
Yeah.
But we did do... I mean, we used to do 10 days on trot at Barcelona.
Right, yeah.
And Estoril.
I did 4, I think.
We had something we called the 10 Days War. And they had to kind of have new recruits coming. And so the people that were there already would get medals because they'd done a whole week of testing. Yeah. And it was dawn till dusk. And I literally mean dusk. It was actually dawn till night time because with Renault, they owned the circuit, Paul Ricard. They virtually owned it. Yeah. And they had a garage on the back straight. So they had exclusive testing with developing the engine. And they were able to test at any time they liked. So even when it got very dark, they would send me out and say, can you do a few laps? I go, well, it's dark. I haven't got any lights on the car. And they said, well, we only just need to get some data for the engine. And I'd go out and it would be unbelievable because we had skid plates on the front wings. Yeah. Titanium skid plates. And they were just creating these sparks. And everything was starting to light up with this orange glow. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It was like being in a meteorite, it was just extraordinary. You're going down the straight and there's flames and sparks coming off. And then I remember once the engine blew up going into the horseshoe bit. Yeah. Was it Piff Paff? No, just before that. Yeah. After scene, yeah. Just came out of there. And it was like literally a napalm bomb had gone off, and you could see the whole of the circuit. Suddenly, I could see the advertising hoardings, and it was all this orange glow. And they must have been back at the garage thinking, "Oh my God, what's happened?" Yes. But it's just the oil, the engine had blown up. It was spectacular.
The reason why we only did not that many laps, 40, 50 laps, 60 laps probably most of the time average, was because of that. Because of they weren't reliable.
They weren't reliable.
They weren't reliable back then. Where now they just go on and on.
So you'd be sitting around for hours eating biscuits, wouldn't you? Like these.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yes, I used to. Yes, Mars bars. No, I might have a little Jaffa one.
But I think this is kind of a fake Jaffa.
It is a fake Jaffa.
Anyway. An alternative. But the fact that you sat around, you didn't know when you were going to drive.
No.
So you'd have to get there. You'd be kicking around the garage. Are we ready to go? No, we got a problem, blah, blah. So you wait for a bit and then you go out, do a lap. We've got a problem, we've got to stop. And then you don't know what they're up to. They're fiddling about for hours.
Hours.
And you're kind of peering over people's shoulders and they're busy. And then you kind of go and have another biscuit and a cup of tea, talk to the truckie.
Yeah. Yes. All that. Did you ever do a test where you did absolutely no running in a day? I did. It was a long day. Went back to the hotel.
Yeah, we had Arrows was not very reliable.
Right.
And so we spent a lot of time not going anywhere and blowing up engines. I think we blew up engines every time we ran it for a bit. And to the point where I just thought, well, I'm wasting my time here. So I went to, we were in Barcelona. I went down to Granola's, which is a town just up the road, to a guitar shop and bought a guitar. And I came back to the motor and I thought, well,
I'll play
learn
something
a few
for the
tunes.
team.
My guitar playing improved, but the lap times didn't.
Yeah. Was it a popular thing in the garage, or was it something?
Well, no, I didn't
stop it.
No, I just did it in private in the motor.
Why didn't you get in there with the team and give them a little bit?
I think that might
concert?
have sent out the wrong impression.
It probably would have done. Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't waste my time.
No, I did visit and do a 9-hole golf one test as well. Because I was told it ain't going to run for the rest of the day. I thought, fine, I'm off.
Yeah.
So
exactly. I mean, being at a racetrack when nothing is happening. I mean, testing is once you're in the car, it's great because you can improve your technique or whatever it is you're working on. Did you always try and improve your technique, or did you just drive the car?
No. I was always trying to improve.
So experimenting.
Always, yes, exactly. And that, I think, is a big difference between then and now. Because I think now it's a completely controlled environment and it's a data collection test at the end of the day. Did you used to go out there and have a little bit of fun?
Oh, of course I did.
Yes.
And sometimes I
don't
drive.
think they can have that anymore.
Sometimes I used to go out and think,
exist.
I'm going to drive like Nigel Mansell now. It never worked.
You never ever do it.
Whenever I tried to drive like somebody else, I
would have come up with someone better than that. But anyway, carry on.
Someone better than Nigel Mansell?
Yes.
Oh, you better not hear you say that. You're in big trouble now.
Sorry, Nigel.
Anyway, at the time, he was the benchmark. But I tried different styles. And I think now they're looking at every single thing you're doing. They would be looking at my data going, what are you doing?
Yes.
You know, can you stop doing that?
Totally so. Yes.
No, I want to try doing different things.
But that's where it's different, because I think they're told to drive in a certain way because that's the way that suits the car and the aerodynamics and ride heights and the balance of the car. So I think it's very different. But we had that freedom to do that. But we were very important in that test as well, weren't they? Because we were the computer. You know, the data back then was sort of quite small in many respects.
It had
simulators,
nothing. Throttle, steering, brake pressure, and acceleration and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. And that was sort of it. So who did they?
You didn't even have tyre temperature. You didn't have dynamic tyre temperature, did you?
No sim. So there was no data going back to the factories.
I would be interested.
It's very different.
Do you think, I don't know if any current F1 drivers or reserve drivers listen to us, Johnny, but if they would like to challenge us on our impression of what they're up to and what they're allowed to do when they're testing, then I'd love to hear from them.
Yes.
Because I think we had the freedom to play, and I learned a lot from that when I was driving.
I agree.
And now I don't know what position they're in. I mean, someone like Fernando is probably able to do what the hell he likes, and so on. But you know, younger drivers probably are following the instructions of the team. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. But again, as I said, I think it's a program, and it's a program they have to stick to make sure they get in the right data that they can analyse to then improve the car if they can before they go to the first race.
Did you sometimes, when you were doing a long run and you were getting exhausted and you're tired because you've been testing a lot, were you quite pleased when it broke down?
Yeah.
It's a dreadful admission.
I was happy it broke down because it was dreadfully slow. So it was almost like, I don't see the point of going around and pounding round because we are just going nowhere. And I do one thing, and it was during a season, but when I was at Lotus, and it was very sad, very at the end of the year that it came to an end. So at the end of '94, we did Portugal. And then there was a 4-day test, I think 2 days after, on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we were thrashing around 3.5 days, going nowhere. Yeah. Absolutely nowhere. And you're getting fed up. Yeah. Because you're slower than what you did in the qualifying, in the race itself, the weekend just gone. You haven't improved. And you're going, this is ridiculous. And I said with half a day to go, let's just, because we went very well in Monza, as you remember, qualifying 4th.
I don't remember, but anyway.
You don't remember?
Yeah, but thanks for reminding me.
Just behind you, I do. I think I passed you going into turn 1, if I remember, before Eddie Irvine hit me.
So I don't remember these sort of things.
No, you wouldn't do, because classic you, exactly. Well, have a look, because I did.
I'll look it up.
I did beat you. It took me many, many years to do it, but it only lasted 200 metres. Anyway, so we go back to that test. So I said, well, put the Monza wings on it. And everyone thought you were just completely and utterly loopy, putting some medium downforce, medium high downforce in Portugal. And so we did it. We went 1.5 seconds faster than we'd been doing for the whole 3 days.
And that was your idea?
And it was my idea, but it was a stupid idea, really, because the more downforce should have just given us more speed, but it didn't, because it was so draggy. I had no change through the corners, but I was like an absolute rocket ship down the straight. So
they're making erroneous assumptions about their car,
it wasn't
how a car works.
Yeah, well,
and it just ask the driver.
Well,
I keep saying this.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's what it should always be about.
But no, it is fascinating getting the chance to test. I mean, but then as I had more experience and I did a lot of testing towards the end, I just thought, what's the point? Because like you say, a lot of it was just going round.
Yes, just round.
Burning rubber.
Yes.
And fuel.
Yeah.
And not really going anywhere because you'd been there before with some of the stuff. And that's when I started as a test driver with Williams, Nigel didn't want to do the testing. He'd done loads of testing. He knew what it was about. So he'd turn up.
His donkey to do it.
He'd get the donkey to do it.
Yeah.
And then he'd turn up for half a day.
Yeah.
And there would be loads of press and he'd be making a big show and he'd come in and he'd go drive the car, completely rag the car till it was, on its last legs. And he'd leap out and go, it's all right, but, and he'd talk a little bit about...
Sorry, people from Birmingham. That was a very bad impression.
I thought that was quite good. But anyways, he came in and just jumped out and said, yeah, it's okay. Because he knew that a lot of what they do at testing is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's interesting for the engineers.
Waste of time.
Yeah.
But it's harsh.
Well, I do think that the car's performance is, I mean, what they're doing a lot of the time is just systems testing.
Yeah.
So they're checking to see whether the oil temperature in the gearbox is good, and they can monitor stuff that's going to fail.
It's high tech stuff we did.
High tech stuff, and just what the driver does is really just fiddling with stuff on the edges, like spring rates and ride heights and stuff. They're just fine tuning stuff, and but because I remember we did a whole winter's testing at Barcelona. And then when we went back there for the Grand Prix, we were nowhere.
Yeah.
And we'd come back with exactly the same. And I remember Patrick Head having a meltdown.
Yes.
We've spent 2 months going around Barcelona to get us set up, and you come back here and it doesn't work. It's completely wasted the time.
That was very good.
That teaches you that what are you doing? The conditions are completely different in February.
Yes.
And when you've got a track that's had cars going around all day, every day for the last week, the track's in a different state to when you come back in July or whenever it is. Yeah.
Would you remember Jerez?
Yeah.
When we went testing in Jerez in the winter. And the morning was super fast. Yeah. Super fast. All cool. The track was alive and the grip levels were massive. And in the middle of the day, it was a massive drop, and sun came out exactly, and it was a struggle, a massive struggle. And then about 3:30, something like that.
3:30 gets nice and chilly.
It was mega fast again.
Yeah,
it was mega fast. But then you go back to the race, and there was about 25 degrees difference from that test. So you're right. The change was huge, and it was how you were able to keep up with that change. It was very different.
So you could play at cheating the times, really, couldn't you, in testing? It was never really a good measure. No, I mean, you learned as a driver stuff that you could play with, and the things that you learn about the toolbox you had when you went to a race, and you could then adjust things and get a response in one way or another to how you wanted to set the car up. And that was good education. But once you'd learned most of that, it was pretty tedious just going around. I will say tyre testing. Now you did. Tell us about tyre testing in Japan.
Oh, tyre testing in Japan. Well, yes, when I was doing Formula Nippon, and I did a little bit with the Bridgestone development tyre before they came into Formula One. But the Formula Nippon was all about performance of the tyre, and it quite literally changed nearly every session that you went out. There was always a new tyre with a new construction, but with a new soft tyre that would either
compound,
very, very good, compound, very good, very good. Oh, we're very blank on that one. And it would just be this amazing amount of tyre development that was thrown at you at every single race.
But they didn't fiddle with the car setup.
No, it was
they just
done in
put
the tyre.
Different tyres
just done purely on the tyre. Purely on the tyre to make it work.
Completely different way of going about it.
Completely different way of doing it. And it was what was very interesting for me when we did F1 was where it was McLaren, Williams, Ferrari, and let's probably throw Benetton into it sort of in the early 90s, where you were the teams that Goodyear worked on developing the car because you had the most downforce, so they needed to have the most stress on the tyre, but you were the fastest teams out there.
Yeah, and that was a problem for everyone further down the field. So they developed the tyre obviously for the teams that were putting the most load and worked the tyre. So then the tyres became designed for the guys who were at the front.
Yes, I know.
And the guys at the back spent most of the time trying to get the tyres to work.
Yeah, trying to work. Yeah, and the biggest thing with that for me when I was mainly at Lotus, I remember, was where qualifying you'd never ever be able to really use the tyre because we just weren't putting enough load through the tyre to get the grip that you were able to do in a race.
Couldn't you try harder?
No, this is where it changes.
Go a bit.
I was waiting for the Sunday to come because we weren't abusing the tyre. So actually the tyre would last longer really than you did. So we could actually push harder for longer, but we were then closer. So we were like, I don't know, a second and a half, 2 seconds off in qualifying. It's amazing how different it was back in those days.
But you had a more durable tyre, so like having the hard tyre on.
Yes, sort of thing, yes. Yeah. But we were 2 seconds off and then we'd end up being sort of 0.6 off because we were able to sort of drive the tyre more carefully just because the car didn't push the tyre in any ways. But pure speed, we'd never be able to compete with you because we never had that downforce that was there. So again, it was very, very different because I remember a qualifying session. Wasn't there, it was in the 80s, in the old turbo era. And I think it was at Hockenheim. And there was 12 seconds from the front of the grid to the back of the grid. It was madness. We're just completely in a different world.
It's now under a second.
Under a second, from top to bottom. Yeah. Unbelievable how different
it was last year.
Yes. No.
So we don't know where it's going to be this year. I mean, have a guess. What's the spread going to be? From front to back. So first qualifying.
First race.
So it's not the qualifying, the top 10, because you have to take it from the first session.
Yes.
Yeah. Not that everyone's showing their hand, but let's say
Q1.
Yeah.
1.3.
1.3.
Yeah. I think it's going to be quite a big difference front to back. Yeah. 1.3. 1.2. 1.3.
Right. I'm going to say 1.8. Okay.
I think it's going to be quite.
Write that down. Have you got a pen?
Anyway, I'll do it on my little.
Don't worry, it's recording.
My little paddy thing here.
So we'll come back to that.
1.3 and
Australia 1.8. Q1. What is the front to back?
Q1.
Delta.
Got it. Perfect.
Okay. Brilliant. Well, I hope that's given our listeners some idea of what testing was all about and what it might be about now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Drivers don't like testing anymore. They do like it, or they don't like it.
Well, one thing that's different: new regulations. So that makes a big
They've
difference.
got a lot to learn.
Oh, they've got a lot to learn.
So they've got basically it's going to be about playing with the options.
Yes.
And trying to
learning, like you were saying about the toolbox.
Yeah.
This is a new toolbox that they've got to work out what they need to use. Yeah.
It is really going to be interesting, this new regulation, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, we're all going to be scratching our heads as well. So someone's going to work it out earlier than the other people.
Yeah, definitely.
As to what the tricks are, with what the options are.
Yeah.
With this, active wings, active downforce they've got. Have you seen the acceleration? Mm-hmm. The acceleration versus last year is incredible.
Yeah.
Because they come out of the corners. They just it's like you've got Hockenheim wing on.
Yeah.
For every exit of every corner.
Yeah. And I like that personally.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. Everybody's in the same boat. And I think it just brings the car probably a little bit more alive. Will we visually see it? Probably not so much. But actually in the cockpit, it's going to be pretty.
You'll feel the excitement because you won't
Yes.
so it'll be a little bit more like motorcycle racing. Because they accelerate really quickly. They don't have any drag, nearly, compared to...
Yeah.
So once you drop the drag, F1 cars will accelerate incredibly quickly.
Yeah, massively.
Do you remember when we used to go from Hockenheim to Hungary? It was amazing. We went the other way around. I can't remember which it was.
Yeah.
Hockenheim, you come out of the first corner and go off through the woods, and it was like, it's like a dragster, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then you go to Hungary and you're going, it's like trying to drive through treacle. It was extraordinary. The big difference.
Big difference in it. Yeah, exactly.
So good.
Yeah, so that's going to be, again, it's going to be down to reliability as well, because obviously with the 50-50 split of combustion and battery, that's going to be something for the cooling of the battery, the depletion of the battery as well. That's going to be something that drivers...
Charging it up and deploying it.
Yes, and it's how the driver does that
How
as well.
hot is those things going to get? Because they're dumping a lot of energy.
Yeah, massive.
And then absorbing a lot of energy.
Yeah. It's going to be quite a engineering test.
Scary amount
of
kilowatts going around the place.
Well, hopefully it doesn't feed into the cockpit, because
no,
that would be hell on earth if that would be the case.
That would be very, very, very bad.
But they're going to have to try and work out a way of keeping that coolness. I know they've got sort of fluids in there that will keep the batteries cool, but that sometimes is not quite enough. You've got to get it out.
There's a heavy old lumps. I mean, you've got two heavy lumps now. You've got the engine and you've got the battery.
Yeah, and they're huge battery packs as well.
Yeah.
Huge battery packs.
So the chassis is going to have to be very strong around to keep that in a safe... Is the integrity of that in an accident's going to be...
I think nowadays
you think they've got that
so advanced now. Yeah, so advanced compared to our day, for sure. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we see when we get to the first race. Yeah.
We'll learn a lot. We'll have a lot of information to digest and what's the word? Digest. And learn and understand and deconstruct. And anyway, our brains are going to be fried. You were telling me, Johnny, when we were having a biscuit, about things that made an amazing difference that you could do in testing that completely surprised everyone.
Yeah,
and was a shocking massive step forward.
Yeah, and I remember in 1988. It was the testing the Lotus at Monza the week before I had my crash at Brands Hatch. And Adrian knew he had come up with what they were called the curly whirlies. So like in a modern day Formula One car now, you've got the end plate, and it's just literally a square, a little end plate, rectangular end plate, and there's little bits on it. But then it went from that, and it was 1 metre that this thing came out of the end of the end plate. It went in between the chassis, through the suspension, on the inside of the wheel, and it sort of twisted, and it ended at the back end of the tyre. And everyone had been looking at it. Adrian knew he'd obviously done it in the March, and we put it on. It went 1.5 seconds faster, and it's one of those feelings.
Just a front-wing end plate mod.
Yes. That's all it was. And it was 1.5 seconds. And it was one of those things, you turned in, it's like you turn in sometimes and you get a little bit of a push, a bit of understeer, or maybe there's a little bit of oversteer on the exit, whatever it may be. But you turned in and it literally went down. It went through the mid-corner. It got to the exit, and it was unbelievable. But that was the period where changes were, you could do anything you wanted.
Yeah.
You were free to do anything you wanted. And that's where the times were big. Now we're talking about thousandths of a second improvement
Yeah, the regs have made it more difficult for someone to come up with something like that.
Yeah, but I found that so interesting.
Well, I have the other end of that story, which is that after Imola, when they decided to slow the cars down, they cut them off.
They did.
And so we had to do the test where I drove with those curly whirlies. What they did was they stopped the wake from the front wheels when you put lock on the car, going under the car and disturbing the downforce. So basically you suddenly got clean air going under the car and the car stuck. Anyway, they cut them off. We're suddenly now understeering all over the place. And also, one thing I noted was I couldn't get close to a car in front. I realised that with any bit of disturbance from a car just down the road, suddenly now I'm getting more understeer. Right. And so I brought this up with some people who were on the F1 committee. Designing committee and stuff. Anyway, they didn't think what I was saying was particularly valid because I was only a racing driver and not an aerodynamicist.
Classic, yes.
But I've long held the view that if they carried on with those things, you would be able to race a car much more closely through the corners.
Yeah.
But as I said, I don't have the maths to prove it. But there was one other thing. I don't have the
maths, but I would take the front wings off.
we have the evidence. We have the evidence of what you just told me the first half of it, which is it immediately made a difference to the way the car felt.
Yeah, and then you go the other way.
And I was on the receiving end of the other end of it,
sure.
where they took them off, and it made it worse.
Yeah.
And ever since then, they've been trying to get it back. But that's another story. But one other thing we discovered, which was I was talking to Paddy Lowe because I did the development of traction control. And what the traction control does is when you put your foot down, it cuts some of the engine. So you don't get the
So has it cut the engine? Has it cut the engine?
Well, it sees wheel speed.
Yes.
So if the wheel starts to overspeed, in other words, you're losing grip with power going through the rear wheels, it would cut the engine.
Yeah.
So it would reduce the power.
Through the cylinders,
through the cylinders. So it sounds like the engine's misfiring, which it is.
Yes, which it is.
And so I tried this and I went, that doesn't feel very good because I like to spin the wheels and drive the car. And that didn't feel very good. And Paddy said, well, you're a second lap quicker.
Right. Wow.
Just like that, traction control.
Wow.
And my response to it was worse, but
because the
data says different.
Yeah.
So,
I've got a good story on that as well then. When I had Lotus, when we had traction control, we basically had a little Moog valve, and then it was all little sort of connectors that went then to the throttle, let's say, and it was like a machine gun. So when it started to read the spin, it would go
What, cutting the engine?
It was cutting the throttle. It was
cutting the throttle.
It was doing the throttle.
Oh, so you kind of
that was when we didn't have the budget to cut the engines. Ford were a little bit more in those days with the Cosworth not cutting it because it damaged it as well. So we had to find another way. So we did it through a little Moog valve, and it was.
And did the pedal actually move?
No, it was all sort of happening
just done
behind
through the.
Yes, it was awful. It just never ever worked. We switched it off for qualifying.
Yeah.
And we sort of turned it on a little bit for the race because it was a little bit more consistent from that point of view. But the way you were saying with cutting it within the cylinders and it having a misfire effectively is a much smoother way of doing it. And as you say, it felt worse. But it's that
but there was fun
that you get from it.
Playing with those extreme
yes.
Options always fun.
Yeah. Well, and you can go on because I remember the active cars.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. There were just thousands of different setups that you could come with. So we can go on, but we'll maybe bring this up another time. Talking about good old days.
Yeah. It's a big subject. What you can do with a racing car, but they're going to be playing with a new set of regulations. They're 26 regulations now. So good luck to them for that, and we'll be learning what they get up to throughout the season.
New regs. I always thought it gave some teams an opportunity to get themselves at the front of the pack. Do you think this is an opportunity this year for some teams to be able to be more competitive?
There's two ways I think that you can break this down. One is that there's clearly a kind of technical challenge. I've just seen that Honda Watanabe is saying that maybe we'll struggle, so he's already hedging.
Yes,
saying that building this power unit and getting it to work is going to be a problem.
I think
everyone's talking up. I saw Helmut Marko saying something to the effect of, "I think a Mercedes is going to win." So they're very quiet and they seem quite confident. But that's the technical side of it. Well, then there's the racing, and there's a good quote from Esteban saying that they're going to have to forget everything they've learned as racing drivers since karting. In other words, this is a completely different discipline.
Yeah.
It has obviously the driving the car is one thing, but having to make this work and learning to drive the car with flappy wings.
Yeah.
And approaching the strategy of racing per lap, how you utilize these options that you have is going to be a head scratcher. And the person that works that out is going to be presumably the cleverest drivers who can see that there's a way to make this work.
Yeah, because the only thing that they've been having to do during a race sometimes, because the way the strategy works, and there's always a safety car that sort of comes into that strategy, and they sort of are right on the border of the fuel. And sometimes if that safety car doesn't come out, they have to ease off and do a bit of lift and coasting to save the fuel. But that's not going to be the case, because the battery depletion is going to be a really huge test for the drivers, the engineers as well, but for the drivers, big, as you say, a big shift in the
and also I'm a bit worried about how they manage this when they're having to recharge at the end of the straight, because if you're slipstreaming a car and it suddenly starts to slow down, they used to have the flashing light when they are when they were charging. But now they kind of have this the thing where it actually they'll all be doing it. So we're going to get some disparity of speed towards the end of the straight between people, because they have to charge their batteries. Yeah, you wonder whether they're going to do something like make the engine almost literally just a charging device for the battery.
Quite literally.
So
it's got its own. It's going to shift. Yeah. So that's where it's going to be. Where, as you say, some teams are alluding to they're having a few issues trying to get the whole package.
So the energy output from the end of the ice will be just literally labouring to charge up the battery.
Yeah.
So they've got the battery, enough options and not enough charge left in it. It's going to be so interesting and very confusing, I think, from us outside to watch it. I mean, I know that F1 will be giving us all the graphics and we'll be able to see what state the car is in.
Yeah.
But it is going to be interesting trying to get to learn this from the outside watching. Yeah.
I think the drivers as well, it's slightly different again, because our testing sort of went on for so long. But they've got 9 days testing, so they've probably got almost 4 days each, more or less, where that's all they've got before they go to the first race. So they've got to be switched on straight away now.
So they've only got one car.
Yeah.
So for a lot of the time, the one driver drives, and so the driver themselves aren't getting 2 weeks of testing.
No.
They may, and if they have problems, they might not get any testing.
Any testing, absolutely, which has happened in the past. Yeah.
So you go straight in completely cold. That was sort of what it was like with Arrows.
Yeah.
Just hardly got any laps in at all before I went to Melbourne. But that's the first part of this season is going to be. There's going to be a few people that have tripped up and are going in completely blind. But then we've seen it before where teams have had a dreadful winter testing, then gone to the first race and it all worked and held together.
Here's a question. When you did your first laps in a new car, new rules, did you know if it was good or not? Did you go, oh, this feels awful, or wow, there's something about this one? Do you ever remember that happening?
The championship car, 90 FW18, I jumped in that. I just knew that was a great car. It was just immediately fantastic. Yeah. It was it responded to everything you did. Yeah. And you knew you're going to love driving this car. And other cars you get in, particularly I'm thinking about when they went to the groove tyre regulations.
Yes.
It wasn't the car, it was the bloody regulations. These groove tyres that they came up with, which was Max's idea, Max Mosley's idea.
Terrible idea, and awful idea.
It was the worst mistake, I think, that they made. It made driving so unpleasant that
it did.
that I wanted to go home. And I often did.
It was horrible. Yes.
It was. So these groups. So the logic was, wet races are exciting, and that's because there's less grip.
Yeah.
So if we made the tyres have less grip, the cars would be more exciting because the drivers would slide around a bit more. But it just didn't work like that because driving in the wet is very different. And the way that you can have more slip angle on the tyre, and it doesn't root the tyres when it's wet because the water is cooling the tyre and all the rest of it, and you can slide around more. So you can keep sliding all over the place in the wet, and it's fun, and it does create opportunities for racing. But when you do it on a dry tyre, they just were like made of cheese or something, weren't they? It was like getting a cheese grater on a piece of cheddar.
Much. Yeah, pretty much. Awful.
And you end up
and they looked awful as well on a Formula One car. You thought, well, an F1, they looked wrong. Yeah, totally wrong. An F1 car on a single seater, it should be slicks, full stop. Should never ever change. Yes, put the wet tyres on. Different story. But yeah, they were nasty things. So you had to adapt.
Yeah.
Again, your style to how that tyre was working as well, which was a test in one regard, but overall it should be about just throwing that car around the circuit.
It was like trying to play the piano with gloves on.
This one I'm interested in. Carry on.
When they brought in those groove tyres.
Okay.
Or play the guitar, doesn't matter. Anything with gloves. It's like you were given a pair of mittens,
and
told to make a sandwich.
Take the gloves off.
You know, the car you couldn't feel the car.
It was horrible. Yes,
you couldn't get any feedback through the tyre, and it just went to balls of rubber and just slid around, and you spend the whole time just going. You could do anything.
Yes,
it didn't respond.
It didn't respond to anything. No,
Rubbish.
exactly.
Anyway,
but yes, going back to there is definitely going to be a driver in a particular car, I think, who will go, this feels very good. And the one I always remember you said about your Williams was the Brawn, Jensen and the team. They didn't actually believe the speed that the thing was going. It literally did an installation lap, and it did the fastest lap of the day type thing. It was just out of this world. So it's very, very rare that it does happen, but I think there is a good chance that someone might be able to get that window.
We need to do is what will be interesting will be the very first laps that these
early laps, I agree,
do.
That could be the sign.
Yeah.
And that's what they should be looking for.
So I reckon you'll know who's going to win the championship.
Yes,
in about the first hour.
Exactly. That has happened many a time. Could be. You're right. Coming straight out of the box.
It'll be on the faces of. I'd watch those that are there at the tests.
Yeah.
I would be watching the people on the pit wall and in the garage very carefully because they'll either be
those first couple of runs. Definitely.
They'll be sniggering like Muttley. I can't keep using these wacky races references. But
you do a lot. I know you get yourself in trouble for using those.
They're very influential to me when I was growing up.
Yeah, I know. Yes, exactly. Do get yourself into trouble. Yeah. But those test days are going to be so valuable for the drivers to learn about, as I said, that tool set that they've got. So it's going to be something you always hear about, like the Olympics, peaking at the right time. But these guys have got to be on it straight away.
The peaking Olympics?
Well, no, when they have to peak physically.
Oh, I see. You mean
peaking,
reaching their peak.
Reaching their peak.
I'm with you.
Sorry, I didn't really allude to it very well. But you got what I meant. But now they're going to have to be so switched on, going into those tests, because there is just so much more stuff they're going to have to learn about.
The first race, there are going to be people getting caught out by these regulations. Well, I predict.
You predict.
I predict that it's going to be, coming out of, on the first lap, you won't know whether the person's...
we're thinking old school. So we're thinking old school. Because they're all going to be in the sim.
They've been in the sim.
They've been all in the sim.
They've already done it.
They know exactly what's going to be coming their way. There's going to be a few little bugs that are going to come into play in the race, but they do all that before they even get there. They've done it even before they get in the car for the first test.
Amazing how prepared everyone is.
How prepared they are.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's very, very different. Yes, you still got to play.
I'm looking forward to it.
Play the game. Yes, I am. I think it's a massive challenge, and the excitement should be there. I hope the racing becomes closer, and actually the racing becomes more racy as well. The actual sort of pure overtaking is going to happen.
We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see, definitely so.
Well, we've had a nice chat. Anyway,
yeah, we have had a nice chat.
So I think it falls to me to draw this to a close.
Yes.
Johnny, we've been talking, we've been predicting, we've been looking forward about launches and testing. And as I said at the start, it's the Phoney War, isn't it? This is all the shadow boxing and stuff.
Yeah, thoroughly looking forward to that.
Good. Excellent. We'll see you in a month's time.
You got it. See you then.